Hey there, everyone. I'm Samuel Johnson, and welcome back to the Phantom Perspective. Today, we're going to be discussing episode 43 of Danny Phantom, Forever Phantom. And if you can guess by my reaction right now, this wasn't a good episode. It wasn't. Admittedly, it had a good idea, a good starting point, but I'm sorry to say this episode just this. Okay, I should start with a plot summary, shouldn't I? Like, for today, we're introduced to a new villain, I suppose. He's called Amorpha, a shape-shifting ghost that, as the name implies, can become anything. He can turn himself into Paulina. He's a prankster, and the beginning of the episode shows him just running around impersonating different people and just causing general mayhem. He turns into Paulina and ruins a pep rally. He transforms into Tucker's dad and ruins the Foley family's dinner night. And then he even turns into Dash's dog and makes him look vicious. Pretty much just causing general mayhem and pranks. During one of his other escapades, he tries to impersonate a. Sorry, if you can hear that, there's a snowplow going by right now. He impersonates a cat and accidentally almost causes a bus to drive off into a lake. But Danny manages to save them by catching the bus, because I guess super strength is one of his ghost powers. I think. I don't think it's ever been a power, but whatever. Like, seconds later, suddenly there's a news article about it. This gets under Amorpha's skin because apparently he's a attention hog, and one of the reasons he's been doing these pranks is because he's trying to get attention, just try to get all these things, just try to get everyone to notice him. Well, apparently he decides that he's going to try and screw with Danny, and personally, I thought the episode was going to go for like a frame-up story, which admittedly did get under my skin a little, because I'm not a big fan. I think I mentioned before that I'm not a big fan of frame-up stories, because it feels like it just throws everything the hero stands for under the bus. Like, it causes everyone to forget about all the good they've done and just kind of throw it out the window. But no, it actually doesn't go that route, as after that thing hits the headlines, Danny's parents are angry that Danny Phantom is getting all the headlines because he's a hero and whatever. And they unveil a new device. I'm not gonna name it because I don't even remember what the name is, but it's essentially a giant laser that can depower a ghost any ghost that hits it. I personally thought this was gonna. I might as well say this right now. To the episode's credit, it doesn't go the way you would expect it to. But by that same token, the way it does go doesn't exactly work either. As such, Jazz takes the news article about Danny saying the bus and puts it in a scrapbook she's made about Danny's escapades, and so Danny heads off to school and decides to transform into Danny Phantom to make the trip easier. With the ghost, with Amorpha, seeing that he can shapeshift, so he decides to turn into Danny Fenton and just kind of mess around in Danny's house. Well, the trip to school doesn't go well, as everywhere Danny goes, he's masked by fans and people and who just want to follow him. As such, he decides to just go. As such, he hides away from them and just turns back into Danny Fenton. But upon arriving back at his home, because that's where he wound up after all the chasing, he sees Amorpha running into his house, so he turns back into Danny Phantom and goes in after him. And sorry about that. He turns back into Danny Phantom and goes in after him, and just before Amorpha can tarnish Danny Fenton's reputation by tearing up Jazz's scrapbook, Danny comes in and they fight. Jazz, of course, turns on the ghost shields, forgetting that her brother is still in his ghost state, so obviously he's going to be targeted. Well, not ghost shield, the ghost defenses. Hold on a second. Get up here. Guess Xander wants to be in this vlog too. Okay, puppy. Anyway, so she turns on the ghost defenses, which alerts their parents, and of course, since Amorpha looks like their son and Danny Phantom is not, Danny Phantom is the ghost they hate, they immediately start shooting at him. But in all the chaos, Amorpha runs away and Danny manages to escape his parents and chase after him right into the Fenton lab, and they get into a tussle, but it results in the depower whatever activating and blasting them. Now, my immediate reaction would be that Amorpha would turn back into his true form when this happens, and Danny would turn back into Danny Fenton, but no. In fact, it turns into something kind of stupider. Instead, this thing actually just disables some of their ghost powers, and one of the things that it disables is Danny's ability to transform between Danny Phantom and Danny Fenton. making him stuck in his ghost form, which is dumb by a lot, because the ghost form itself is an extension of his ghost powers. So logically, he should be transformed back into Danny Fenton. Like, remember, like in the micromanagement episode when Danny was slowly losing his powers, he was slowly turning back into Danny Fenton. That was like that. But for some reason, instead, it just disables his ability to transform. And little by little, all of his other powers are going with too, as he can't turn intangible except when the plot demands it. He can't turn invisible, and right now he can only fly. And even then, that goes away eventually too. And as for Amorpha, well, his shapeshifting has now been severely limited, as now the most he can transform into is Danny Fenton and at least one other person before he's just kind of stuck. So he manages to escape while Danny's trying to constantly running with her parents, who now are kind of on the hunt for Danny Phantom because they think that he did something to their son, because now Danny's disappeared. And unfortunately, since Danny can't turn back into his human form, they are constantly hunting him. And I did originally think that this was kind of stupid, and I still kind of do, but I suppose it makes sense considering that if their son's in danger, they of course would be reacting this way. Like, if they think that that a ghost did something to their kid, I think they would step into action, especially with past examples. Whenever their kid's in danger, they've always stepped up to it. But this episode's kind of a similar case. They just want to find their son, and they just want to find their son. And admittedly, it's still kind of a little dumb, but you can make a good argument for it, and I think that would kind of make sense. But somehow they just go everywhere, going to all these stupid, dumb extremes and so forth. Like, they put out billboards saying they want to find Danny to give him hugs and kisses and so forth, while Jack has to make a defense saying, and he plays sports and so forth. Whatever. So pretty much it just gets kind of dumb and weird. It just kind of gets dumb and weird, and you can understand why they would be so hectic to find Danny, but I don't know. I feel like that there would still be some mayhem and mischief, but I feel like that this focuses too much on the hijinks aspect of it, and unfortunately, kind of things continue to get even worse as Amorpha, realizing that people are going to be looking for Danny, is able to do one more change and transforms into Lancer because he thinks that Lancer's Lancer. No one likes Lancer. But unfortunately, that ends up backfiring too, as now, for some reason, this is Lancer's most popular day, as everyone seems to want to follow him, so he just starts running around. Danny manages to find Amorpho, while Sam and Tucker keep his parents occupied by dressing as him and saying that Danny Phantom disfigured him. But I don't... sorry, throughout the episode, it still got on my nerves, and I keep thinking to myself, this would all been avoided if Danny had just allowed his parents to know that he was still about his secret identity, which, I'm sorry, I'm never going to get off of that reality trip. There was no reason to erase their memories about there, I'm sorry. But in the meantime, Danny manages to find Amorpha, recognizing him by his eyes, because whenever he transforms, his eyes are always red. And Amorpha at this point is just getting sick of all the attention and just wants to be able to turn back into himself and hide. And likewise, Danny wants to be able to get his powers back too. Unfortunately, they're both still being mobbed by all these people, so Danny is able to make a getaway by blasting out some lights before losing that power. But even then, they don't get far before the Fentons reappear, because that Sam ran to the school at this point. As such, Amorpha is able to get them out of there because he can still phase through objects. And Danny says that if they want to fix what's wrong with them, they have to go back to the Fenton Works and reverse the Fenton depower whatever. However, Maddie and Jack end up there too, because I don't know how they knew they were there. Maybe they were tailing them. I don't know. And for some reason, they keep blasting through the walls like the Kool-Aid Man. But Danny and Amorpha are able to come up with a stupid plan where apparently Lancer caught Danny Phantom, and then they get into a fight, quote unquote, which is obviously just it's played out. It's obviously just a fake fight where Danny was able to reverse the laser and hits them both, allowing Danny to turn back into his human form while giving Amorpha back his shapeshifting powers. As such, Amorpha apologizes for all the trouble he caused. Danny says that he'll leave him alone if they never see each other again, and Amorpha agrees to this, though he makes it perfectly clear that he's still going to be trolling people as he flies away and turns into Danny Phantom before floating out. Danny's parents find Danny and are happy that he's there, happy that he's safe, and the episode ends with Lancer waking up in the women's bathroom because Amorpha brought him there, because Morpho and Lancer ran into each other, and Lancer passed out from shock from seeing another version of him, from seeing two of him. I don't like this episode. I just don't. The first episode, like, I don't really feel like this episode has anything of value to it. I'm sorry to say. It's just a dumb episode. A really, really dumb episode. Like, going back to previous episodes, even the dumbest ones of them, I think had something of value to them, or felt like they could have had a good base. And admittedly, this episode does kind of feel like it would have that with Amorpha. A ghost that can, like, first off, Amorpha's the way Morpho looks, it's cool. He's literally has no face, save for a pair of glasses that with red eyes. He has a cane with a skull on it. He has a black trench coat. He's got this weird top hat. It actually makes him look rather creepy and nice. And his voice, it sounds like something Igor. It sounds like Igor, and just so deep and creepy. I like that, but they squander him so bad in this episode, and it doesn't work, and I don't like it. It's wasted. It's even more wasted potential, and the entire episode. I think it would have been better if it was the frame up episode. Like, I feel like that the episode, like, because I may not like the frame up episodes. But it would have been cool seeing this creepy guy that could impersonate anybody. Danny, like, maybe he screws up with maybe he messes up Danny's reputation. Danny has to fight him. He flies away into a crowd, but then he turns into someone else, so Danny can't find him. It would lead to even more things. His hit mischief could have gotten, like, bigger and bigger until Danny ends up ultimately fighting him one-on-one until the deep. But he's able to get him to Phantom works. Maybe they get a crowd there with Jack and so forth, and or maybe they bring that to wherever they are. And suddenly, bam! Suddenly he throws him in front of it, and he transforms back into himself. Thus confirming to everybody that that this was a shapeshifter the whole time. It would have been cool. I think that would have been nice. But instead, they got this stupid BS about him having to learn that maybe he shouldn't be trying to hog all the attention, or Danny maybe should take a break. But first off, Danny is not a glory hog. Like, okay. He does want to get attention in school, but as Danny Phantom, he doesn't like. He likes getting the attention, but I think he learns very early on that maybe too much attention is a bad thing. Hence, why he turns back into Danny Fenton. It's one of the benefits of having a secret identity because no one knows who he is. But he learns like it's like they're trying to give him that pathos that he needs to learn that maybe too much attention is bad. Well, I think he learned that in like the first few minutes. I don't understand that. And it doesn't make sense. And then there's the stuff with Amorpho having to learn his lesson. It sacrifices what could have been an interesting idea for hijinx. And that's the big problem with this episode. It's too focused on the jokes to the point where they're not funny. These aren't funny at all. In the previous episodes, they at least had some amusing things here and there. The stuff with Vlad, you could make an argument was admittedly funny, or seeing Jack going all out, or even the last episode with Vlad, it was flanderization, but you could get some funny stuff out of it. Like, Vlad had to keep Danny entertained, or otherwise he gets screwed over. There were a few jokes that they actually could make with that. But this one, it feels like it's too focused on the hijinks. They have a good idea gift wrapped for them, or at least an entertaining idea, but they instead just screw it all over by just trying to make it, look at that, his parents are after him, or look at Sam and Tucker, they have to hide their space, and his parents are distracted her. They look at that, they wind up everywhere. They have to find a way out of this. It's just stupid. It's a stupid episode. Amorpha is wasted potential. You had a good idea for a villain, and then you just get rid of it. It's not a good idea, and it was just squandered so badly. The way the episode goes is not good, and it doesn't make sense. The deep power thing should have made it so that Amorpha and Danny were stuck in the way they were. I think that would have been cool, but it would have been cool for the climax. But instead, they put it in to add more hijinks. Amorpha's stuck in Danny's form. Now everyone's looking after him. He's able to transform more time, but he chose the wrong form. Everyone's after him. Danny's now being chased because he's Danny Phantom. No, bull. This episode was dumb. It was just dumb. It felt like it sacrificed what could have been an interesting idea or a good cohesive story for hijinks. Stupid hijinks. And I just checked out. This episode was just bad. Just a very bad episode. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry I'm getting a little. I'm sorry that I'm getting angry here, but it is just bad. Nothing about this episode made me want to return to it. I think Amorpha, the stuff with Amorpha, I feel was just completely and utterly wasted. And like at least with Vortex, they still made him look like a good legitimate villain. This guy, they had a good. It felt like they could have gone in a good direction with him, but then they just threw it all out the window. It was stupid. The hijinks felt like they encompassed too much of the episode, and it just kept getting to me, and just the story kind of meanders all over the place and kind of changes too quickly. There are just too the jokes aren't fun. In other words, the jokes aren't funny. They stay long after they're welcome to. The villain was wasted potential. The plot is just dumb. There are some glaring plot holes that don't make any sense when you try and stop and think about them. Honestly, this episode, I'm sorry, but this was just a bad episode. A really bad episode. And honestly, I feel like my time was wasted with it. I feel like my time was wasted. I wouldn't probably say I wouldn't even say that about the other bad episodes in this season that I've seen so far in this season. Even like Eye for an Eye or Torrent of Terror. Yeah, those were dumb episodes, but at least there were some things in there that I thought were a little interesting. Like seeing the prank war between Danny and Vlad. That was a little amusing, even if it did lead to Vlad going to extremes that I don't think fit him. And even the progression, and I'm not going to defend those episodes. They are still dumb. Like, again, Vlad going to such extremes just get back at Danny, the plot going all over the place, just kind of them acting like this is all, that there's still big stakes. It just felt weird and just kind of too extreme even for Vlad. And even Torrent of Terror just kind of led to a lot of weird things that I think didn't make any sense. Or this all-powerful ghost that he has just to improve his poll numbers, or even the squatter potential with Danny having to master the weather powers. That was dumb, but they still had some entertaining things here. But this episode, no. There is nothing entertaining here. I wasted my time with this episode. It's just bad. It's just bad, so I'm sorry, but sorry if you like this episode, fine. I'm not going to try and take that away from you, but I don't think I'm going to ever watch this episode again. So, and if I do, maybe I want to binge the series, but either way, it's just this episode left a very bad taste in my mouth. So, yeah. That's all I have to say. Sorry if you like the episode. I'm sorry, but these are my opinions, and I hope you have. And I don't want to take this away from you. So, but yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll see you next week for hopefully a good episode. Because this next week's episode is one of the few episodes of season 3 that I actually did watch when it was on. So, yeah, maybe it'll actually be good. So, yeah, take care.